coming up on this stormy day on ATV News.
Well, certainly as a Republican, I'm hoping that we have a good night.
We'll show you how good that night was with our full election results.
Being very, socially driven, it's definitely becoming an issue.
We'll show you what problems students are facing and why it gets worse during the holidays.
I'm pretty tired right now, exhausting.
We'll show you why these athletes signed up to climb 12 hours and how long they actually lasted.
In weather, I'll show you how November hurricanes and our extreme weather in Utah might be two sides of the same coin.
They signed up for a field goal, but scored 6 points. I'll show you that and other trick plays in sports.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
Voters showed up to the Cache Valley Fairgrounds yesterday for their civic duty. People were able to vote on candidates for Senate and local positions, as well as other legislation. Voting closed at 8 p.m. with results rolling in all night. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Noah Giles.
And I'm Sarah Murphy. Republicans and Democrats of Utah gathered last night to watch as votes rolled in for the 2022 midterm elections. Claire Scott went to Salt Lake City and went to the election parties to see who had a reason to celebrate by the end of the night.
A band playing in a dimly lit conference room greeted guests as they arrived at the Hyatt Regency for the Republican election night party. The night started with the arrival of Republican Senator Mike Lee, swamped by reporters trying to get his thoughts on the big night. As the crowd grew, the night kicked off, and so did the conversations. The topic? A win for the Republicans.
Well, certainly as a Republican, I'm hoping that we have a good night, not just here in Utah, where I feel pretty confident, but across the rest of the country as well.
Guests mingled at the Sheraton Hotel just a few blocks south from the Hyatt. Though a different crowd, there were still hopes for a win.
Part of what I love about the Democratic Party and the people that I know personally that are running for office, they legitimately care about their neighborhoods and their communities and the issues that face real Utahns.
It's just past 10 here at the Hyatt Regency, and while it is getting a little bit late, as you can see, the crowd remains and the energy is high.
People cheered as the votes rolled in for the night, and along with the cheering was the waiting and waiting until
Senator Mike Lee!
The end of an election cycle isn't the end of the process. It's the beginning of the hard work, the beginning of the debate that can happen only because of a victorious election. Tonight, you've brought me that, and I thank you.
Claire Scott, ATV News.
Continuing with our election coverage, Annika Johns shows us an inside look to the voting process in Couch County.
If you're here to vote, please come on this way.
Lined up inside the Cache County Event Center, Utah citizens waited to fill out and turn in their voting ballot.
The voting process was pretty easy. You just went in, handed them your driver's license, they gave you your ballot, and you went in and they would let you do your research. You could search on your phone about each candidate, whatever you needed to do, fill in the little bubbles, and then you sent it to go.
Mail-in voting is another option for voters. Cache County officials say more voters mail in their ballots versus voting in person.
We see more people mailing in ballots or dropping in the drop boxes that we have around. I want to see about 70% of voters that vote that way. We have some 30% who still want that in-person experience, or there's something wrong with the post office, and so they have to hurry and come in and vote in person.
Voters who mailed in their ballots can now track their ballots for the first time this year. On this ballot, we can see that it was delivered and counted. But for some, that still isn't enough.
I did the in-mail voting, and after the 2020 elections, I didn't like it, and I didn't believe it, and I thought there was a lot of fraud. So I was like, you know what, I'm coming in person, and I'm going to do it in person.
Despite concerns of voter fraud, everyone we talked to agreed that voting is important.
I believe it's a duty, responsibility to come and vote. I think it's a great way for people to express their pleasure or displeasure at what's going on in their local government. And it's really, in a republic, the way that we express our will as a people.
Annika Johns, ATV News.
Sorry about those technical difficulties. Cache County officials say ballot tracking will be available from here on out for Utah voters.
One of the local propositions on the ballot is the Cache County Open Space Bond. Proposition 1 proponents wanted to create a policy to conserve open land and Cache Valley's landscapes. They say it'll add trails and maintain agricultural waterways and habitats.
If we want it to look like the Cache Valley we know and love, we're going to have to make some intentional choices to figure out what it's going to take to keep it looking like Cache Valley.
The new law has two major parts. It creates a board to oversee open space policies and identify land to keep as open space. The second part raises $20 million to help owners protect their land. Proposition 1 increases property tax on residences and businesses.
Now here are the complete results from last night's elections. Mike Lee beat Evan McMullen for the state's Senate seat 55 to 40%. Inside the U.S. House District 1 spot, Blake Moore won the seat with 70% of the vote. Our state treasurer is Marlo Oaks. He won the polls with 76.1%. Proposition 1, Cache County Open Space Bond, was issued with a popular vote of 54%. Proposition 2 covers the reauthorization of Cache County RAPS tax. It imposes a 0.1% sales and use tax for funding recreational programs like zoos, parks, and arts. This proposition was issued with a 68.4% popular vote. Dan Johnson won the State House seat in District 3 with 57.2% of the vote. The Cache County executive race was won by David Zook with 65.8% and over 13,000 votes. The State School Board District 1 representative, Jenny Earle, won this race by 77.9% and over 36,000 votes.
And in other news, the Powerball lottery reached a historic high of $2.4 billion. Utahns flocked to the La Tienda gas station just past the Idaho border for their chance to win. Folks lined up at this gas station counter to test their luck for the Powerball lottery. Employees at La Tienda says they're considered the home of Utah's lottery since most of their customers come over the state border to buy tickets. They also say the store has been especially busy with the record-breaking prize.
So being a part of history is amazing for me right now. I love it. It gives me goosebumps.
Now these ticket buyers, they missed their chance. Yesterday, the California Lottery announced the winner of the big prize came from the LA area.
Every 62 minutes, one person dies as a direct result from an eating disorder, according to a 2020 Harvard Public Health study. JC Caldwell joins us live to show us some of the causes and what you can do to prevent it. How's it going, JC?
Yeah, thanks, Noah. I'm sitting here in Luke's Cafe where in front of me I have some pretzel bites and a salad. Now, I know it may seem obvious which one is healthier, but I talked to two dietitians who say that healthier doesn't necessarily mean better. They say it's not about the food, it's your mindset.
Cooking is a big part of the holidays. And with more cooking comes more food. And with more food comes more opportunity to do what USU dietitian Brooke Lister calls binge eating.
That's one of the biggest signs of an eating disorder. But I think the biggest thing is like when it is like all consuming and that is all that you think about.
She says this can cause anxiety to eat, leading to an eating disorder.
It is okay to overeat or overindulge during the holiday period and knowing that your body will regulate itself. We want that enjoyment with food to still be there.
NationalEatingDisorders.org explains an eating disorder can include anorexia, bulimia, weight shaming, binge eating, compulsive exercise, and extreme dieting. But they're caused by more than food.
It is really common among students. I think it's definitely something with like social media and just being very like socially driven. It's definitely becoming an issue more and more.
Even movies and magazines can make an impact. So what can you do to feel healthy without turning to an extreme?
Dietitians say it's not just about how much someone runs, and it's not even about making sure to pack a salad for lunch every day. They say it's the attitude towards food and exercise that can be toxic.
I really despise the divisions of good food, bad food, or healthy food, junk food. I hate them. It creates sometimes a scenario where we sin.
USU created an eating disorders treatment team last summer to help students struggling. As a member of the team, Parker says she hopes students will take advantage of the resource.
the need for eating disorder help has never gone away. And in the last 5+ years, I would say the numbers have increased. So I don't feel like this is something that is minimizing in society.
To talk to USU's Eating Disorders Treatment Team, you can schedule a nutrition services appointment through the Student Wellness Center. Reporting live from Luke's Cafe, JC Caldwell, ATV News. Back to you, Noah.
Thanks, JC.
Utah State is starting a new initiative called the Peace Institute. Philanthropist and alumnus Mehdi Haravi visited the campus to talk to students and faculty about the program.
I hope that this institute would be a change maker.
To create change makers, the Peace Institute will help students learn skills in conflict management and how to bridge cultural gaps. Haravi says the main takeaway from the program is to learn from others.
We should never attack the individual because of his belief or disbelief. By threatening them, by attacking them, this is the erosion of civility.
Part of Haravi's donation is for subsidized tuition for students in the program. The rest will help construct a new building on campus. They expect construction to be completed in 2024. And coming up,
suffering and staying up all night.
We'll show you why these athletes signed up to climb 12 hours and how long they actually lasted.
And for them to take away that opportunity for us to win them back is kind of like a stab to the gut.
In a rugby scrum, they push each other, but what if they can't push?
And coming up in weather, Joe Cooney will have your 7-day forecast. The current temperature is 36 degrees.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it, I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome to ATV Weather. I'm Joe Cooney. Going with our national radar, we're seeing some rain and snow across the western U.S., mainly in Utah, Idaho, and Montana, as well as Tropical Storm Nicole down in Florida, which is expected to make landfall as a hurricane on Thursday. Speaking of that, let's go to our hurricane tracker to see that while the eye of Nicole hasn't hit the peninsula just yet, those rain bands have, causing flood warnings up and down the coast of Florida. Now, Hurricane Nicole, if the projections continue to be true, will make landfall in November, being the third hurricane in history to do so since 1851. The other two being in 1935 and 1985. And global warming is really the root cause of these November hurricanes, seeing as how in the last 100 years, November hurricanes have gone from being a previously unheard of event to about a 30-year occurrence. Now, global climate change is also the cause of a national concern, not just for Florida. Climate change drives the droughts we see in Utah. And despite those droughts, on our state radar today, we did see some rain, mainly across southern Utah, although we did see a bit of that rain across northern Utah and Logan as well. Going to our 7-day forecast, we can see that for the rest of this week and next week, temperatures and skies will be clear, with highs in the low to mid-30s and lows in the teens, even single digits. Now that you're all caught up with the weather, let's go back to Noah at the desk.
It's the annual CEHS week on campus, which means there are plenty of activities going on within the College of Education and Human Services. Here in the Emma Eccles Jones building, members of the CEHS Student Council are handing out candy and selling t-shirts to teach people about the College of Education and Human Services.
It's so cool to learn about all the resources that are here on campus and all the different programs, because you never know what might interest you.
Mortensen says the purpose of the week is to get to know your college better. The final activity for the week is the Veterans Day Barbecue on Legacy Fields this Friday.
You might sleep during the night, but one group of rock climbers spent theirs on a wall. Katie Varga takes us along to track their endurance.
It's a 12-hour endurance climbing competition.
12 hours. That's how long these athletes climbed, scaling this wall over and over again.
So it's going to be a challenge for me, and endurance is my biggest weakness. That's also one reason I want to try this and just challenge myself.
At 7 p.m., the competition started, and each team found a spot on the wall, started climbing, and tracks their points on their phones. And some wore costumes for a team theme.
I know there are people sleeping or resting in that area.
Halfway into the competition, it's 1 a.m., and these climbers are starting to feel tired.
Rock climbing uses 5 main muscle groups: the lats, the biceps, the forearms, the core, and the calves. So 6 hours into climbing, these athletes are gonna feel the burn.
There's some cutthroat people out there. There's some like high schoolers trying to catch up with us, and then like the points team is also threatening.
At 7 a.m., the competition was finally coming to a close. Only 10 out of 18 teams remained, with only 2 teams still actively climbing.
12 more hours.
Altogether, the athletes climbed 52,000 feet, but one team, Ginger Asian, won it all.
So I won the individual point, the team point, and the team most feet climb. So keep climbing, keep moving, never give up.
Katie Varga, ATV News.
All proceeds from the night went to Friends of Great Salt Lake, an organization that works to protect the ecosystem of the lake.
12 hours is a long time to rock climb for.
Oh yeah, and not just rock climbers were busy that night, but some other athletes on campus as well, right, Kayla?
Yeah, it got a little crowded in the Spectrum this past Monday and coming up. In sports, I'll show you how 2 teams turned the A blue on the same night, ending with the exact same score.
And rugby is heading to the national championships, but they're a club sport. So who's buying the plane tickets?
I can always make time for Smash.
Esports just held its final Smash Bros. Tournament for the year. Find out who won this intramural and how you can clean the next competition away.
Hi, I'm Peter. And there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends. Come on in! Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ache than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
Hold down, and they'll run a fake into the end zone.
Connor Cole's the place kicker to help the Aggies get a touchdown with this trick play. Welcome to ATV Sports. I'm Kayla Peterson. That trick play was not the only play that special teams pulled off during their game against the University of New Mexico. USU is lined up for their punt, as you see here, as Steven Kosteline runs the punt himself, giving the Aggies a first down. This helped the Aggies set up for Cooper Legault, the quarterback, who has sat out the past 2 games due to an injury. As Legault is able to run past defender after defender, he was able to get about 37 rushing yards himself. Let's not forget about the Aggie defense, as quarterback Justin Holiday tries to run it, but the ball is stripped out and it is picked up by Reynolds, and he runs to the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5, the touchdown for the Aggies. This is the first touchdown of the Aggies on the defensive side of the ball this season. But let's continue with our special teams, as Elliot Nimrod punts the ball right here, and it goes for 64 yards, and it is bobbled by Lewis, and it is picked up by the Aggies. That is some pretty cool stuff that special teams was able to do, especially Jamie Nance. And when you do something like that, of course you're going to be carried off the field by your teammates. Now, if your eyes aren't moving super fast, let's watch that punt one more time. So right here, Elliott gets the ball and he kicks it. And as you see it fly, and it's right here where Lewis bobbles it and it is picked up. Speaking of special teams, let's jump back to Connor Coles one more time. So it is here where he's tossed the ball and it is ran in. The fake, the punt, It all came down to special teams. Way to go, Connor Coles. But because Cooper Legault hasn't been here for a few weeks, let's watch one more pass of his, as he is able to pass it to Terrell Vaughn, who had 83 yards, and this rushing touchdown. With those passes, those trick plays, and those fake punts, the Aggies were able to pull the win 27-10. The Aggies will play the Rainbow Warriors in Hawaii this Saturday. Women's basketball started off Monday with a doubleheader in the Spectrum. And it was raining threes in the Spectrum as sophomore Christina Olivia went 5 for 7 on her three-point shots. And there was many layups here and there. And junior Tamaya Robinson went 2 for 10 on her field goals, giving her a total of 4 points for the game. But Abby Wall was able to get the ball and just handed it to her teammate as it is hit right here. Beautiful threes. That was 16 points for the night. But let's not forget about the College of Idaho, Jada Reed, who's able to hit this wide open three-point shot. And she wasn't quite done showing the Aggies what she had. She hit another three from the other side of the court. But the Aggies won the game 75-58. The Aggies will play in the Spectrum again on Friday night against Southern Louisiana Lions. But ending the doubleheader in the Spectrum was men's basketball as they started their season against Utah Valley University. The Aggies are ready to take on this in-state rival as the ball is passed all the way over to Shulga, who hits this three, and boom, Spectrum magic was ready. And the Aggies kept going, but let's watch this UVU 7-footer, Aziz Bandelgo, who hit this three. For 7 feet tall, that's pretty good. But Stephen Ashworth was ready to show what his teammate Sean Barstow could hit from down under. Welcome back to Spectrum Magic. But here's Taylor Funk as he hits this three from the E and the Spectrum. How cool is that? Taylor Funk is a grad transfer from St. Joseph's, and we are lucky to have him. The Aggies were able to win the game 75-58. The men's basketball team will play Bradley University in the Spectrum on Friday, another doubleheader for the Aggies. In basketball news, USU men's and women's basketball team both ended the night with a score of 75-58. I looked through USU basketball records and I could not find a date where this has ever happened before. But they are ranked number 1 in the nation, and Verl Johansson shows us how women's rugby got their ranking and how club sports differ from sports with a scholarship.
Cheering fans and people honking car horns filled the air throughout the match as Utah State's women's rugby club defeated Colorado State 24-22, despite officials neutralizing scrums early in the game.
The only difficult thing was we weren't allowed to push in scrums. That was big because we won the first 2, and then for safety reasons they wouldn't let us push anymore.
Tackle-breaking runs like this one by Rachel Billings helped the Aggies win their 6th game of the season, keeping them at the top of the national rankings and giving the team a surreal feeling.
It does feel really good, especially because Navy is a #1 team. They won last year, and so to be predicted to be ranked above them is amazing.
Like this score. The club team overcomes challenges typical collegiate Division I teams don't have to face, like fewer resources.
We have practice Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 6, and that's about all the resources we have, besides getting to use this field for free.
The main difference between club sports and NCAA sports is scholarships. Universities give scholarships to athletes to play football, basketball, and other NCAA sports. But in club sports like rugby, athletes have to pay to play.
Scholarship, you can just join the club.
We get a small allocation from the school based on like previous year expenses. We don't have a lot of money. Most of the stuff we pay for comes in straight out of pocket.
Peterson said she paid $300 to play on the team this semester, and that doesn't include the money she'll have to pay to fly to the tournament matches. Money aside, Peterson said she's nervous for the tournament, but proud of how much the team has grown.
It's a good confidence boost. It feels almost like a gift for how much practice we put in and effort and work.
Verl Johansson, ATV Sports.
The Aggies traveled to Maryland to face the winner of Northeastern and Virginia Tech on November 19th in the semifinals. USU volleyball traveled to San Diego State and Fresno State, winning both the matches 3-1. They play San Jose tomorrow at home. So you can see that the A on Old Main was blue from every game that the Aggies played this week and can turn blue again soon. You are all caught up on your Aggie sports. Back to you at the desk, Sarah.
Thanks, Kayla. USU's esports team just hosted another Smash Bros tournament, but what does it take to be a fighting game champ, and why do gamers love it? Marcus Lamb went to the tournament to find out.
The anthem of Smash brings the players to order as all sorts gather at the esports center for Smash.
Anybody can play these kind of games. Like you don't have to be super big and strong. You don't have to be like born 6 foot tall or something. You can be anybody,
First round is going to be best of ones.
Each Smash player is assigned randomly in a bracket, and while tension should be high, players are still ecstatic to choose their favorite character.
Bro, let me hit you.
And gleefully prove who is the best fighter.
That sucks.
It makes for a good social interaction. It keeps it as hype as it can be.
Still weak. I could have reached you so many times.
I couldn't reach you either. I missed 5 of them.
When it comes to Smash, it takes more than just playing as a certain character to win. These tiny little controllers are essential for a player to achieve victory or to accept defeat.
I respect that. No, that's understandable. See, I told you.
It might look easy, but each gamer has to memorize moves, anticipate enemy attacks, and improvise on the spot.
We'll see how it goes.
It's like chess. You have to have 20 steps in advance.
The tournament started with over 25 players. After their time was smashed out, it was down to 2. The fight was close, but Bryce managed to take down the Golden Falcon.
A couple of tournaments ago, he beat me in grand finals. The Falcon gave me my worst nightmares, but it's nice to finally beat him.
Video games and sports may have their differences, but the fan love and hype can be found.
GG's, man. Good game.
Marcus Lamb, ATV News.
The esports team says they'll be holding a variety of tournaments through the end of November. If you want to prove your skills with your favorite game, you can find their Discord on our Facebook page.
The Herd had a midnight yell this week to hype up winter sports like men's and women's basketball. The cheers were abundant from the Spectrum on Friday night as students gathered to see head basketball coach Ryan Odom and learn some of the cheers for basketball games. This midnight yell also included some giveaways like AirPods Pro, a signed basketball, and a football jersey.
I'm going to catch you a shirt. And I actually did catch a shirt, and then I won the jersey.
Bryce was one of the students who went home with the prize. The next midnight yell will be January 9th to get students excited for spring sports. Thank you for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
You can find this and previous editions on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with some more shots of those 12 hours of rock climbing.
Have a great week, Cache Valley.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. I've always wanted to be.